Creative Living, utilizing today's technology with the best of the past to bring you innovative ideas and up-to-date information for creative lifestyles in today's active world. With your host, Sheryl Borden.
I'm so glad you joined me today for Creative Living. We're going to learn all about California figs and demonstrate some home-style recipes that have been updated for today's homemakers. You can slice them or dice them. California figs provide the perfect sweet and savory balance to create lots of delicious treats. One of my guests today is Carla Stockley, and she's with the California Fig Advisory Board. Carla is going to discuss the historic significance of the fig, as well as talk about the fig industry and explain why fig consumption's on the rise. She's from Fresno, California. And we'll begin the show with my good friend Connie Moyers. Connie's going to be demonstrating what she calls home style in a hurry. She explains that home style means cooking like your mother or grandmother used to do, but with new shortcuts so it can be done much quicker and easier. Connie is with the New Mexico Cooperative Extension Service, and she lives in Clovis, New Mexico. Connie, thank you so much for coming. You know, some of the recipes I have used over and over and over again come from way back when you were first demonstrating microwave cooking and using the blender or the food processor. There's just some of those that I still feel like are my real tribute to home cooking.
And some of these are too. You know, we like home cooked or home style meals, but most of us don't want to spend the time. Either we don't have it or don't want to spend it in the kitchen to do some of those anymore. But with the convenience foods that are available, this lets us eat at home more often than eat in a restaurant, control what we're eating maybe, and have a little bit better things. So I'm going to give you some good tips, I hope, today. And this recipe, Peachy Pork Picante, is one of my favorite all-time recipes. I've made it for years and years. And what I did is I went ahead and browned the chunks of pork loin, and we're just going to add the other ingredients real fast.
That's
I mean,
all?
it takes a lot of ingredients. It's a can of picante sauce, or 16 ounces, and about 2/3 a cup of peach preserves.
Peach preserves.
I had already coated the pork with the taco seasoning ahead of time.
I knew I smelled that.
And so that's what really gives it that good flavor. But this is just such
Sort
an
of a
easy,
sweet and sour dish.
such an easy recipe. We'll just let it simmer for about 20 minutes, and that recipe's done.
And you can serve it right out of that skillet because it's an electric skillet, so the cleanup is even really minimal.
And you know, my daughter-in-law asked me one day, "Why are you cooking in a skillet like that?" She had never seen one. But you know, I've used electric skillets for a long time, and they're just so handy to use to serve out of. And when you have one that looks as nice as this one, it's really easy.
Why not?
Another thing I want to remind you is that you could go ahead and cube your pork. Let's say you bought a whole pork loin, you don't need it, or they're on sale this time. Just cut them up in cubes and put them in the freezer, and then take them out. And you could even go ahead and have the taco seasoning on there.
Oh, you could, and freeze
if that
it.
was the recipe you were going to use. But chicken breast,
How easy would that be?
another easy way to keep things in the freezer where it's a convenience food that you've made for yourself, ready for whenever you're going to do it. So I really like to be able to do that when I do things. This recipe is kind of a trifle type thing. I think it's lemon custard trifle. I don't even remember the name of it. It's just so easy, and you can adjust it with whatever you have, whatever you like. You can buy a lot of times the pre-prepared angel food cakes, or pound cake would work here as well, or even a yellow cake. But you know, angel food cakes are so easy to make when you use the box and you add water to it, beat it, and cook it. The hardest part is cleaning the pan when you get done. But we're going to use that in a minute. But what we're going to put here for part of the filling is going to be 1.5 cups of milk.
Low fat if we want to do that.
We can always change this. And sour cream, we could make the light sour cream if we wanted to, or the lower fat. We'll mix those with some instant pudding, instant pudding, but you could use the fat-free, or not the fat-free, but the sugar-free.
The light.
If you were trying to cut down there on that. We'll go ahead and just open that up a little bit more and stir this together.
And that's the instant pudding, isn't it?
It's just the instant. I'm going to get that kind of started and then use my whisk to whisk it, and then we'll use this in just a second. But we're just going to have to mix this up enough. And I saved cutting up the angel food cake because it's really fun to see how easy it is with a electric knife, because a lot of people have trouble cutting up an angel food cake.
Oh,
and man, an electric knife, in just a few seconds we can have cubes there and be ready to go. So we just need to whisk this enough that it starts to thicken, and while we're cutting that cake up, I think it'll thicken up a little bit more, and we'll be ready for that. So let's cut this cake up with this. And I like to just start cutting. We'll even go through. And then just cross it.
You don't have to measure. There's no right or wrong way.
So that was a pretty easy way to
That certainly
get that
was
cake
fast.
ready, wasn't it? We'll just set it over here and put a few of these. Didn't get quite to the edge
And you know,
on that
one
part.
of the things about making a trifle is the bowl, because you want to be able to see the different layers. So find a inexpensive bowl and use it. Don't use a solid.
Just a salad bowl. This is nothing really special at all.
Oh, it did get thickened.
You doubted me, Sheryl.
Well, you just cut the cake up so fast, I didn't think it had time, actually.
And we'll put a little bit of this cherry pie filling. Of course, you know, blueberry pie filling, you know, there'd be some other ones that'd be good with this too, wouldn't there? We'll save that.
We're just going to keep layering.
So, you know, I made this cake last night, and it was just real easy to put together and have setting, you know, ready to take out this morning. And now all we have to do is put this together in a few minutes. If you were fixing to have company, that would be so easy to do. I'm going to let you put
I'll
this
finish it.
on top of there, and I'll move these things out of the way.
But you know, I have bought the prepared angel food cakes, and they don't taste any different. You know, sometimes we think that the ones that we might go to a lot of trouble and make, and 12 eggs or whatever. So if you're in a hurry, just take advantage of it. It's going to be good.
Those mixes work really well, because like I say, all you have to add is some water to it, and then you're ready to go.
I just think these are so pretty, and they're very impressive. Nobody would ever stop and say, now, what did you put in there? How long did that one take to make?
They're just going to be ready to taste it. That's what they're going to be anxious to do.
That's pretty.
Okay, the next thing we're going to do is a real quick coleslaw, and it's a little bit unusual. You know, the nice thing about having these pre-prepared things is you don't have a lot of waste, and it's already ready. All the different salads and things like that we can buy.
And I remember, though, when you first demonstrated some of these, we were also excited that we could now shred cabbage in our blenders.
Yeah.
So, wow, now this is even easier.
And then our food processor, and you know what?
Yeah.
This also works good for stir fries in your skillet.
Oh, it would?
So that's another good thing to remember. Now, kind of the secret ingredient in this is some pickled okra.
Oh, pickled okra.
So we'll put slices in there and then add some color with some pimentas that have been drained, and put them around on it. And our dressing for this is just simply a little bit of sour cream, a little bit of sugar, salt, and pepper. And so we'll just stir those up.
Well, and I think you're so right, though, about buying the package, because when I used to make coleslaw from scratch, you know, you'd buy even a small head of the red cabbage, and it takes so little when you've shredded it, and then you'd have it left over.
And right now I have a half a head of cabbage in my refrigerator, and you know, I'm not real sure when I'm going to use it, but I needed the first half, you know, for a recipe that I wanted to make one night. So this will just, you know, mix up and toss when you're ready to serve, but right now we can just add it in here.
That is so colorful, and I wouldn't have ever thought about pickled okra.
Well, it's just kind of a surprise ingredient.
It is.
Isn't it?
Okay.
And last but certainly not least is just this simple casserole. You know, and a lot of times when you look at a casserole recipe when you get home and you think, it takes an hour to cook. And I don't want to wait an hour. But this one I can put together real quick, and you can adapt almost every casserole to the microwave.
Oh, even if the recipe doesn't call for give the microwave version.
That's right.
Wow.
So we'll easily put this together here. One of the things that I did, and I like to do, let's say hamburger meat, 5 pounds of it at a time is on sale this week. So buy 5 pounds, cook it up. Put it in the freezer in a microwave safe bag, or if you know you're going to use several times that week, just put it in the refrigerator that already have it cooked. Another thing I do with my ground beef when I buy it like that, say if I want to make meatloaf, I might make it 2 or 3 or 4, however big I want to make them, all at one time. You only dirty the bowl once, you only chop your onions once, you only do all of those things, and then put it in different containers and freeze it.
Wow.
Also, if you would put if you want them to cook faster, put them in muffin cups or little ramekins, individual ones, and that way if you need 1 or 2 or whatever, you just get that out and cook it.
That's a real time saver.
So it cooks it a lot faster that way.
I think you were the one that talked, or I'd seen one of your programs, and I always keep ground beef in the freezer because the cooking, it's what takes the time. Most of the time you just stir and dump. And
again, it's one mess, one cook, you know, the whole thing, and so it's really great. This is a cream of celery soup we'll put on the top of this. Just a
that
super
was a pound
simple
of ground beef.
Yes,
right?
it was a pound. And we'll just kind of mix this in just a little bit to this. And then we're going to use some thawed tater tots
oh, really?
To put on top of it.
Shredded seasoned potatoes. So for someone who likes their beef and meat and potatoes for a meal, this just fits the bill, doesn't it?
Just need a prepackaged salad or coleslaw to go with this.
Well, yeah, coleslaw would be great with this.
Have it made. If we were cooking this in the oven, it would tell us about 40 minutes at least to cook it. And all we're doing is blending the flavors and getting the tater tots cooked.
Because everything's already cooked.
It's already cooked. But in the microwave, we can cook this about 6 minutes.
6 minutes? Wow,
so that'll
that does
be
sound
really
a lot
fast.
better than 40.
Of course, you know, we always like a little cheese on top of it, and so we'll put a cup of cheese. Again, it was pre-shredded. Or if I wanted to save a little money, I could buy a chunk of cheese, shred it in my food processor, and freeze the individual
packages. And you know the frozen cheese works great. And again, I learned that, I think, from you. So we'll put this in the microwave, cook it for 6 minutes. The pork's ready.
Just sitting here simmering, and it's good. So we have several
ready
meals
to eat.
real
Okay.
fast.
Well, thank you so much. These are easy recipes, but they're ones that I think our family would be so appreciative of. Thank
Good.
you.
Thank you.
Carla, thank you so much for being with us today. I bet we're going to talk about figs, and I know when you were here before, I even told you that I knew nothing about figs, so everything I learned that day was totally new, so we're going to make that assumption again. So I thought it would be good if we talked a little bit about the history of figs. It's been around forever.
Absolutely, and Sheryl, figs have been around since the Garden of Eden.
Wow.
And so one of the things that it can be debated is whether or not figs were the forbidden fruit. But we do know that figs were the first clothing of man with the fig leaf.
The fig leaf, of course.
Fig leaf, of course. But today what's really exciting is we almost see this renaissance coming with figs. When we were here last, they were becoming very popular. Food professionals were saying it's an emerging fruit. Well, figs were actually noted or recognized as the #1 emerging fruit for flavor and being on trend. And so again, we're pretty excited about that. Cooks, food professionals, chefs, they're enjoying figs fresh and dried in many, many ways. And that's one of the things I'm excited to talk about today.
Well, are figs available year-round?
Well, California,
in the market?
Absolutely. Dried figs are available year-round. And then fresh figs are available mid-May through December. And part of that is we have an extended growing season with California fresh figs because we also produce figs in the desert, in the Coachella Desert. So we have more plantings, and it really extends that so people can enjoy them year-round with dried and then fresh a little bit longer than
How long is the harvest? How long does that take to harvest?
Well, the harvest actually, so for dried figs, of course, it starts about the 1st of August, and it's about 2 months. The figs actually dry on the tree. And then, so they dry naturally in the California sun, and then they're harvested, they're put in bins, they take them to the processing plant, and that's where they're thoroughly washed, and then they're packaged for retail, for consumers to use them.
Wow, it's interesting, I think, to know about the harvesting. Figs, if we buy fresh figs, how do we store them at home and how long will they last?
Well, when you're in the grocery store, one of the things you always want to look for is figs that are plump and give a little bit with your finger.
Oh,
okay, they're very plump, but you also, your nose is a really good thing. So you don't want something that smells sour or fermented. That means that they're a little bit old. You really don't want to even take those home and make jam. They really should be very fragrant.
Oh.
And so when you get them home, they're very fragile. They bruise easily. Oh. So you can put them in your refrigerator and then like on a parchment paper so they're not touching. Okay. But immediately put them in the refrigerator. The other thing is if you haven't used them in 3 to 5 days and they look like they're maybe getting a little bit, they're not quite as perfect, then what you want to do is freeze them. And that's the nice thing about
and you
figs.
Freeze them in the skin?
Absolutely. You never need to peel a fresh fig.
Wow.
You eat them just like that. They're full on flavor with their skin, full of antioxidants and all those wonderful nutrients that we love about figs. So you never want to peel them. But all you do is you freeze them on parchment paper. You put them in a Ziploc, and you can leave them there for 6 to 8 months. They're perfect. You can make chutneys. You can use them in sauces, stews, year-round.
After they're frozen, can we still eat them just as is?
Absolutely. And some of the varieties freeze a little better than others.
Sure.
The characteristics are held very nicely. You can even use them in a fruit tart. So think about they're frozen, let them thaw a little bit, and you can slice them perfectly for tarts, even the winter months.
Good idea. Well, let's look. It looks very colorful the way you have these here. Tell us what the different varieties are.
So what we have here today is we've got an array of fresh and dried figs. And again, many of the figs that we have, they're fresh, but they can also be dried. So we like to be able to pair the two so consumers understand the differences. So we have a dried mission fig here. And a mission fig is the darker fig. It actually has a tawny port or a Cabernet flavors or balsamic-y when it's dried. And when you have a fresh mission fig, it really is the Cabernet. It's a lighter wine flavor there. We also have the Calamurna fig, which is personally one of my favorites.
I do too.
It's got that buttery, nutty honey notes, and you can just nibble on those all day. We have in our green fig here, again, this here's a Sierra. It tastes more like a Riesling. So think of those nice sparkling wine notes that you're going to get with a Riesling. The brown turkey, which is here, it's only a fresh fig. And the brown turkey is more like a Pinot Noir. The other varieties, and these, of course, when you think of Pinot Noir or Cabernet, they're going to be more on the savory side. You're going to do the port wine reductions, and you're really going to think savory dishes more so than pushing it to the sweet desserts, which we will discuss later. So some of the varieties we don't have here, we don't have the Cadota. A Cadota fig is a white-green colored fig, and it has more like a Sauvignon Blanc flavors to it. We also have a tiger fig, which is beautifully striped like a tiger, and that particular fig has raspberry notes inside.
And you said that's a newer,
it's a newer variety. And so one of the things we always encourage consumers, also chefs and professionals to do, try them all because they all have unique flavors. And think about which one pairs best with your recipes, your food, or even your guests may have certain preferences.
Oh, that's
so try them all.
And you can mix them together.
Absolutely.
So you're going to actually prepare a pizza, which I thought was an odd use of figs.
One of my exciting summertime, and it has become a staple in my home, is a grilled fig pizza. And again, you can do this so many ways, but the one thing, the constant on this is really going to be the fresh figs. So what I'll do is I'll take this olive oil and it just take a pizza shell that's already, it's in the frozen food aisle. This is an Udi's. It's simple.
Saves you a lot of time too.
A lot of time. You can bake it and you can spend your, you can make your own pizza dough.
Of course.
So I'll put a little olive oil. Some people may not want to start with olive oil. I like the way it melts perfectly with your caramelized onions. So we're going to do this, and then I've already done the caramelized onions. So you're just going to put some caramelized onions here. And again, you can do your caramelized onions in advance.
Which makes your kitchen smell
absolutely.
wonderful.
And when I do these, I'll make enough that I can have pizza or use those caramelized onions several times during the week.
Yeah, if you're going to go to that trouble and to chop them and do everything,
Again,
you might as well make
yes.
a lot.
And anytime you're making salsa, chutneys, or anything like that, always make more because you can pair it with your favorite protein, and you want to cut down the time that you're in the kitchen cooking so you can enjoy your family or friends.
Sure, this could be put on a steak,
Exactly.
just as is.
So we're finished there, and then what we're going to do is we're going to take some sliced figs that we've already sliced.
And you do have several kinds here.
Exactly. So we have, this here is the mission fig, and then we have a brown turkey, and then you've got the lighter fig. I like to mix them because I think, again, they all deliver different flavors. So one of the things that I did want to show you. So a lot of consumers, even as you'd mentioned, do you peel the fig? You don't. You want to cut the stem off, and you're going to cut here on the back side. So it's like this. And then you're just very carefully, you can do it thick, you can do thin, but you're just easily slicing your figs. So that's a very simple way to do. Okay, so then we're just going to put our figs on this pizza.
And you are mixing 2 or 3 varieties.
I am
think
mixing
that's
them.
A great idea.
Whatever I have available, and
Yeah.
the fact that I have the privilege of working with my growers, I probably have them a little bit more than most people. So again,
Well, it's fun to experiment.
Exactly. I use prosciutto. It works really well with the onions, and the saltiness with the fresh figs is perfect. So you're going to layer that on. Pizza's so fun and easy to do. You can make this and let your kids do it. I mean, it's just really an easy thing to do. We've got some slices of mozzarella. I often will crumble it. So again, there's really no right or wrong reason.
No.
It's what you prefer. I love feta cheese. Sometimes we make with feta cheese, sometimes we don't. Depends on who's with us, because some people don't like it as much. But again, these are flavors that work perfectly with the figs. I mean, the sweetness really, it kind of blends perfectly, pairs well. Then we're going to do, and again, some nice mozzarella cheese, just some extra there, and then some arugula. Now this is how you can
So it's
layer
a meat,
this.
meat dish and a veggie pizza.
And so I will put my arugula, and I cook it with arugula, because with your pre-baked skins, it takes 7 to 8 minutes.
Oh, okay.
And I like it when this is a little bit,
Little wilted
it's a
or-
little wilted. Now we have one over here, a pizza that's already been finished in the oven, but so I didn't put the greens on that.
So you said 7 to 9 minutes at, what did you
Correct.
say, 350?
350, 400, really.
Okay.
Depends on your oven. But so again, then we're going to put a little more cheese. All of it means, you know, how much cheese do you like?
Well, and I was thinking too, this would be great for a buffet, and everyone, if they didn't want one kind of cheese, they could leave that off. And it can always be popped in the oven for just another minute.
Correct. And what's so fun, you can build your own pizza. These sizes are really almost like a personal size.
They really are, individualized.
And then you want to finish it with a really nice balsamic glaze.
Oh.
So that's just going to kind of bring all those flavors together.
And add a really good one too.
And it just kind of gives a little more color as well. And so that is the simplicity of a fig pizza.
It could be served just like that, or you could pop it back in,
Correct,
like we
just
were
to let
saying,
it wilt a little bit
wilt.
and kind of come together a little bit more. Exactly.
Figs are so versatile. They're so good for you. They're easy to eat.
Absolutely.
It's just a great food that we need to incorporate if we haven't already been doing so.
Absolutely. I would agree.
Thank you very much, Carla.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed the show today. Next time on Creative Living, we'll learn how to get a handle on your debt before it overwhelms you. We'll show how to make a cute kids costume and discuss the importance of family dinners. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, approximately 69% of households in the United States hold some form of debt. One of my next guests will talk about taking a proactive approach to paying off debt now instead of later, and he'll explain the benefits of doing so. If you like to make Halloween costumes or just play clothes for your kids, you'll really enjoy the project another guest will demonstrate, which results in an octopus costume. Another guest cites research that shows that families who eat together tend to communicate better. She's going to demonstrate some recipes that will make your table a magnet for family dinners. All of these topics will be featured on the next Creative Living show. If you ever have comments or suggestions or ideas for shows, you can email me at sheryl.borden@enmu.edu. I'd also like to ask you to become a fan of Creative Living on Facebook. Just go to facebook.com and in the search window type in Creative Living with Sheryl Borden. Thanks so much. I hope you'll plan to join me next time for Creative Living.
We are very pleased to offer a new booklet that accompanies this series of Creative Living. This booklet is titled the 6800 Series, and it features a wonderful collection of ideas and information. And it's available free of charge on our website. Posted as a PDF file, you can simply download the entire booklet or just the segments you're most interested in. For your copy of this new booklet, go to our website at KENW.org and then click on Creative Living. Scroll down to the booklet section and you can click on the booklet or on any of the other booklets we have available online. We'd also like to invite you to sign up for our free e-newsletter. Just go to KENW.org and click on the Sign Up Now button and input your email address. Thank you.